Before us is a decorative vessel with colorful enamel designs. The guest inherited this Japanese cloisonné jar from his father.
Particularly from the late 19th century and early 20th century, which is the time frame in which this was made.
The item was made during the Meiji era, 1868 to 1912, a period known for high-quality craftsmanship in cloisonné by the Japanese. The Japanese cloisonné was inspired by a foreigner named Gottfried Wagner, a German chemist known as a great leader in the chemical industry and arts and crafts in Japan during the Meiji era. What sets this item apart is the use of fine silver wires to create designs with enamel. The designs include floral patterns, birds, and other nature-inspired themes.
Not something that he made necessarily, but something that is the product of his discoveries.
Despite its age, this jar is in excellent condition. With its beauty and historical value undeterred, at an auction it would fetch...
You have an idea?
No, none whatsoever.
Oh, you don't want to guess?
$1,000.
Try about $8,000.
Wow.
Aside from the fact that this piece of gold is an item of beauty, it is also a piece of history. This jewelry was mined during the California gold rush around 1880, and because of this, the jewelry is quite rare. Gold at that time was quite a scarce commodity and came in only two forms, the nuggets and dust-like particles.
Most of the gold that came from the California finds came up as these little bits of these little flakes, tiny little flakes.
This jewelry contains a mixture of both, which makes it especially rare.
Actually, this is pretty interesting because he's got both kinds here.
It is quite a historical masterpiece. If this jewelry was to be sold at an auction as an original piece of gold, it would retail at...
I would give this an auction estimate of $1,500 to $2,500.
Oh, you're kidding! I just don't believe that.
Guest presented a unique skeletonized watch that he had inherited from his great-aunt many years ago with a promise never to sell it. As a result, it had been kept securely in a safety deposit box, untouched. The appraiser explained that the watch was fully skeletonized, allowed light to pass through it completely. It featured serpentine hands on the front and was a key-wind watch, winding and setting from the back with a key. It was signed by Haas, the famous watch company, and the appraiser believed it to be an exhibition piece made for the Paris Exposition of 1867 to showcase craftsmanship and skills. The watch was made in Chaux-de-Fonds, Switzerland, and likely dated around 1865. The appraiser demonstrated the light passing through the skeletonized watch and estimated its auction value to be between...
I think you could expect to realize between $10,000 to $12,000 for it at auction.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Guest inherited two dresses that had been passed down through the generations of women in her family. The dresses were believed to have been made by the guest's great-great-aunt and her sister in the mid-1800s, possibly the 1880s. The blue dress was made of cotton from England with a block print design dating back to the late 1830s. It was two-piece with hand gathering on the edge, and the print was reminiscent of Indian prints with paisleys and floral motifs. The appraiser estimated the blue dress would sell at...
for between $1,500 and $2,200.
Wow.
The blue is just, it zaps you, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
The second dress was made of wool challis and was printed, but had condition issues, including holes and damage from wool moths. The dress had metal buttons that were originally covered in purple fabric, which was now mostly gone. The appraiser estimated the second dress at...
At auction, it would probably sell for about $300.
Okay.
On today's show, the guest presented a woodblock print inherited from their parents. This is an original woodblock print dating back 529 years. Depicting a bird's-eye view of the city of Nuremberg, this piece was printed in 1493. Hartmann Schadel, a German historian and one of the first cartographers to use a printing press,
and he put together the Nuremberg Chronicle. It was issued in 1493. It was a compendium, it was a religious book, but there was also a historical aspect to it, which was unusual for the time.
In prints like these, the quality of the lines is crucial, and this one showcases a beautifully sharp woodblock print indicating its quality.
Anything that of this size and quality was incredibly hard to make, and it would have been hundreds of artisans working together to produce something so beautiful.
It's noteworthy that this print is in color, which is unusual for Nuremberg Chronicles prints, typically in black and white. The coloring is special and original, applied by hand with gouache and watercolor. This print more than meets the eye with an interesting backstory. Having endured for so many years and still in good condition, this colored print without fading will be valued at...
I would put a retail value on it of about $2,000.
Wonderful.
Only a few people could boast of having an item like this. It's a signed postcard by legendary musician Elvis Presley. This postcard is a signed piece of art because it is all hand-done, and not many folks can boast about having a reputable item like this in their arsenal. The postcard was signed in 1956 at the start of Elvis's career.
I guess connected with them, and she was selected. So the Vogue store was very excited about it, and so they donated the dress and the outfits for her.
We also have a picture that shows Elvis signing the postcard. This moment in Elvis's career was quite a defining moment because it went on to shape his fame.
But it was a really big moment in her life.
Not only is this an amazing piece of Elvis Presley memorabilia, it's also a piece of art because, as you said, this is all hand done.
At auction, this postcard would retail at the price of...
At auction, conservatively, I would estimate this at $3,000 to $5,000.
Wow.
Yes. Yes.
A silver menorah presented by this guest.
And this has been in my family since my grandparents have passed down to my father.
This particular menorah is crafted from silver and features a slim crescent and crown, which are hallmarks of German silver.
This is an olive oil burning menorah. We also have candle burning menorahs. Now, if I turn it around, we're going to find a mark.
The menorah lacks a maker's mark, suggesting it was handmade and likely created around the turn of the 20th century. As seen, this piece is rich in design, reflecting various artistic influences. Also, it includes heraldic lions holding the tablets of the laws, representing Jewish iconography, while also incorporating Gothic revival arches, Baroque scroll flourishes, floral motifs, and elements of archaeological revival. Additionally, the crowned lions, which serve as the candle holders, add to its intrigue. In today's market, this rare and historically rich menorah would auction for...
At a retail level, I would give this an estimate of $4,000 to $6,000.
That's amazing.
A glimpse at these bracelets communicate exquisiteness. These bracelets are crafted from premium materials like silver and gold, and they were created in 1975 by Charles Laloma. The bracelets are made from a unique method called sand casting.
She gave them to her daughter-in-law, and actually I have to confess, my mother-in-law gave them to my daughter, but I didn't trust her with them, so I took them from her.
Which particularly makes them so alluring to viewers. These bracelets are a fascinating piece of jewelry, and they are both original, thanks to the receipt that came with them.
A piece of rock is cut into a flat slab, and the bracelet is carved out flat in the rock. And then the silver or the gold is poured into that channel that's carved into the rock.
At a suitable auction, these beautiful bracelets of Native American origin would auction at...
Examples, a sterling piece with turquoise and a gold piece with turquoise. Walk into a gallery, try to buy one of these, $20,000, $40,000.
Holy moly!
Years ago, the guest met the incredible Maya Angelou in Winston-Salem and learned she lived in North Carolina and worked at Wake Forest University. He had admired her since college for her poem Phenomenal Woman, and his wife is also a huge fan. There was an auction of Maya's estate in Kernersville, North Carolina. While browsing the auction guide, our guest saw a Spingarn Award.
Well, my mom went to Spingarn High School in Washington, D.C. She was the first graduating class.
The first recipient of this award was Dr. Ernest Everett Just, the guest fraternity founder. The NAACP's Spingarn Award honors the prominent African Americans like Oprah Winfrey, Martin Luther King, and Jackie Robinson. He didn't attend the auction because his father was sick, so his friend bought one award for $1,100 and the other for $80. The expert believes in today's market, the $80 award could be worth,
so, for an auction estimate on the walk-around,
wow,
about $3,000 to $5,000.
Wow, for the walk-around?
For the walk-around.
Okay.
the value of the $1,100 award is,
I wouldn't be surprised to see it go in the $20,000 to $30,000 range.
as guest wants to insure, insurance value of both awards is $55,000. We have here a bronze ewer inherited by this guest from her great-great-grandmother.
It's just kind of been passed down in the family. Nobody knew that much about it.
A striking characteristic of this item is its unusually large size. Although large, it's surprisingly light because it was crafted from two types of metals, bronze and a high copper content. The ewer boasts beautiful repoussé decorations and has semi-precious stones inlaid on its surface.
And also with semi-precious stones, in this case turquoise.
Additionally, the piece features an elaborate handle made in the form of a dragon with figures on the body. We can discern that this item originated from the Himalayan region and was made circa the mid to late 19th century. The purpose of this ewer was liquid storage, especially for occasional settings. At auction, this piece, being a part of Himalayan heritage and culture, would be valued at,
conservatively, one could say $5,000 to $8,000 at auction.
Oh, wow.
Our guest has a letter from Robert E. Lee to their great-great-great-grandfather, Charles Minigrode, who was the rector of St. Paul's Church in Richmond during the Civil War. Charles Minigrode, originally from Germany, is credited with introducing the tradition of the indoor Christmas tree in Williamsburg. The letter, dated 1864, thanks Charles Minigrode for contributing money to help with amputees.
But they also had a lot of wounded soldiers.
Our guest's father took the letter to the Museum of the Confederacy to have it reframed and remounted. The museum verified Lee's contribution mentioned in the letter. The appraiser notes that the letter is a personal correspondence showing the humanity of both Lee and...
And then, talking about something that, again, gets into the suffering, the hardships of war.
This signature of Lee on the letter is considered beautiful and adds to its value. A conservative retail estimate for the letter would be in the range of...
A conservative retail would be in the $3,000 to $5,000 range of this.
Well, don't tell my family, because I think they will never see it again. I'll probably...
Imagine a grand celebration with the pinnacle of success gleaming from this sterling silver trophy tray. This distinguished trophy was acquired by the guest's great-grandfather at the 1919 Belmont Stakes. It was awarded following a victory of his horse, Mr. Barton.
He blew it away. He got the first race. So then they,
Right.
So then they ran him for the other races. But he was always a difficult horse, and he ran in spite of his sore feet.
The tray features an inscription of the owner's name and is exquisitely crafted from sterling silver, enhancing its value not only because of the precious material, but also for its exceptional durability and brilliant luster. The condition of this tray is meticulously maintained, contributing to its significant auction value of...
We would place an auction estimate on the tray at $15,000 to $25,000.
Wow. Wow.
This guest presented a Persian bowl she acquired from her uncle. This piece dates back to the early 18th century from the Safavid dynasty period.
He liked beautiful objects.
And have you any idea what it is?
I just know that it's a Persian bowl, and that's about it.
Well, it is Persian, and it's from the Safavid dynasty period.
Its border comes from a sort of Chinese origin.
The Safavids were a mixed dynasty. They came from Kurdistan, I believe, and then settled in Ardabil. They ended up being a very powerful dynasty. They were also Sufis. Sufism is another dimension of Islam.
As seen, it depicts the face of the sun and birds, which was one of the favorite images of that period. What's special about this bowl is that it's large compared to the usual ones. Also, this piece is a stoneware bowl, and it looks like porcelain on the inside. Underneath this piece is a treacly thick glaze which runs downward. Well preserved and in good condition, this piece would auction for...
A conservative estimate for this retail would be between $15,000 and $17,000.
Oh, that's amazing.
The guest presented Christmas gifts given to her by her husband on today's show. These are French art glass vases made by Auguste Legras, an artist from the renowned Legras family. These vases are signed by Legras and were crafted a bit earlier, around 1909 to 1910. Made from quality cameo glass with intricate designs, these vases feature a pale peach plaque body overlaid with horse chestnut branches. Despite being old, these vases made with high-quality cameo glass mounted on gilt metal have a price value of...
At auction, they would sell between $500 and $800. Really? Yeah. Wow. Absolutely. Cool.
If you saw these items from afar, you would think they were realistic fish, but these are decoys. These fish decoys are masterpieces of art because they look so realistic. Fish decoys were used in fishing to spear bigger fish.
This is an Oscar Peterson fish decoy. They used them to fish through holes in the ice.
These decoys would be placed on a hook to confuse the bigger fish right before it is speared. When we take a look at these decoys, they're in quite fantastic condition.
People love this carving, and it's a very distinctive way that you did the head with the eyes and the mouth.
These decoys are beautiful and well made. At an auction, these realistic fish decoys would retail at the price of...
Because the Oscar Peterson in a retail setting is probably worth $1,000.
Wow.
Behold, an exquisite piece from the 1960s.
Well, it is a most unusual dress from the swinging 60s.
This light-up dress was designed by the American fashion designer Diana Dew, who was recognized in the 1960s for pioneering electric clothes.
And Diana had studied fashion and also studied to be an engineer.
What sets this piece apart is its innovative design and unique functionality. This particular dress features a cadmium battery pack that powers a light-up heart capable of lasting up to 5 hours per wearing. The heart's lighting could be adjusted for intensity and flashing effects. Also, the battery pack was designed to be worn around the waist, concealed under the dress. Additionally, the bottom button of the dress also contained a battery pack and would spin in time with the music, creating a dynamic visual effect. This dress, due to its rarity and the innovative fusion of fashion and technology, is valued at...
A retail estimate for something like this, because of its rarity, would be between $2,000 and $2,500 in the current market.
Well, thank you.
The guest's father, a junk collector, found this bell in a junk pile in Winsboro, Louisiana. This is a bell made out of bronze. It has a mark indicating the Buckeye Bell Foundry made by the Van Dusen and Tift Company in Cincinnati, Ohio in 1884. This company has trade publications that help us understand the cost and purpose of the products they made. This bell is quite large and heavy, weighing 100 pounds, and based on their catalog, this bell is the largest of its type, made for use in schoolhouses and public buildings. This heavy bronze bell, with its large scale, would cost about...
In today's market at between $4,000 and $6,000.
Between $4,000 and $6,000.
Yep.
Okay.
The iconic granite faces of 4 American presidents as Mount Rushmore are a national treasure. This memorial, completed between 1927 and 1941, was designed by sculptor Gutzon Borglum. Borglum was an American sculptor best known for his work on Mount Rushmore. Sculpted is the face of the first president of the United States, George Washington. Along with the face of the first president is that of the third president of the United States, Thomas Jefferson. The third individual is an American politician, soldier, and statesman who served as the 26th president of the United States, Theodore Roosevelt. The last individual sculpted is the United States' 16th president, most famous for issuing the Emancipation Proclamation that declared slaves free forever, Abraham Lincoln. These historic sculptures capture the legacy of these presidents and their impact on American history.
Not as universally as Washington, but he still is. Therefore, Lincoln prints are going to be very desirable.
They also provide expert insights into their value and significance. Mount Rushmore serves as a fitting backdrop for this exploration of American heritage. This Tiffany Favrile glass bowl, passed down to the guest by her grandmother, is a beautiful example of early 20th century craftsmanship. It bears the initials LCT on the bottom indicating it was created by Louis Comfort Tiffany, an American artist and designer who worked in the decorative arts and is best known for his work in stained glass. This piece is made of Favrile glass and includes a finger bowl with an underplate.
It was made about 1905, so about the early part of the 20th century. It's Favrile glass,
Showcasing its elegance and historical significance. While its value was higher a few years ago, it still holds considerable worth today, due to its timeless appeal and association with the renowned Tiffany name, and its worth
at auction, $500 to $800. Yeah. And if you were going to insure it, I might insure it for just a little bit more.
This is quite the item for many collectors. It represents one of the earliest forms of cameras ever presented on the Roadshow. This camera was made in 1910 from mahogany wood, and interestingly enough, it was handmade. Another aspect of this camera is that it resembles aerial cameras used by the military. It's quite a fascinating camera that you don't see often. The camera is also well equipped with parts to enhance its functions.
So, handmade, but with parts he'd probably either cannibalized or purchased from camera places, camera companies, in order to make it happen. Right. Now here we have a viewfinder.
This finely finished handmade mahogany camera at auction would retail at the price of...
I'd put this somewhere, retail, maybe in the $2,000 to $3,000 range.
Good. That's wonderful.
Before us is a vintage ring with a central vibrant green stone housed in a box. The guest inherited this ring as an heirloom. The jade stone was initially acquired in 1938 at the World Fair in San Francisco.
It's been set by Granite Brothers, who is a really reputable jeweler.
That was the jewelry,
yes,
quite frankly.
Exactly. The setting is beautiful. It's a platinum and diamond setting.
The jade stone was set and accented with diamonds to form a ring by the Granite Brothers, a prestigious jewelry store in San Francisco, one of the largest at the time. This piece is extremely rare, especially because the jade stone is untreated, confirming its naturalness.
Or it's been dyed. It's normally just an enhancement of a green that's already there. And there are a few folks in the U.S. who are able to determine whether or not a jade stone has been treated. But we normally say prior to the 1950s, 1960s.
Looking closely, we can see the item is in unbelievably good condition. So at auction, this timeless jade and diamond ring of exquisite craftsmanship would fetch...
At auction today, an auction is a fair market value. We would probably use an estimate of about $4,000 to $6,000.
Oh my.
The guest brought a picture and a pin that belonged to her great-great-great-grandfather, who served in the 69th Regiment of New York during the Civil War. This pin is inscribed, making it a unique piece, and it is also a nice example of a corps badge. The Civil War pin represents the 2nd Corps that the 69th New York was in. As a part of the Irish Brigade, this is a pretty high-end pin. An average Civil War badge might cost about $400 to $500.
If you have one that's engraved with an individual's name, they can easily get around $1,000.
But these items, with their attribution to an individual in the 69th New York and the accompanying photograph, will be worth...
easily a $2,000 set.
You're kidding.
That's the case.
Wow, that's great.
Our guest acquired autographs of famous actors like Lon Chaney, Bela Lugosi, and Elsa Lanchester from various dealers in the early 1980s, paying around $2 to $2.25 each. Lon Chaney's autograph, known as the Man of 1,000 Faces, is considered extremely rare. Even though the photo itself is not signed, the autograph alone could fetch $500 to $700 at auction. If the image were signed, it could go for $1,000 to $1,500. Bela Lugosi's autograph is also highly sought after, with an estimated value of about $1,500 at auction. Elsa Lanchester, known for her role as the Bride of Frankenstein,
You're looking at about $300 to $500.
An 8x10 photo signed by multiple actors from the movie House of Dracula is estimated to be worth around...
Here you're looking at about $200 to $400.
Okay.
Wow. So, yes?
A seemingly unremarkable chair was brought in by the guest, who referred to it as a boudoir chair, but was unsure of the exact term. It is a family heirloom, possibly used as a potty chair, and that it originated in England. The The chair is actually a rare 350-year-old William and Mary Great chair, crafted from elmwood in England between 1640 and 1660. Unlike most furniture of the era made by cabinet makers, this piece was entirely created by a turner with all the parts meticulously shaped on a hand lathe. You can see the visible scribe lines, layout marks, and lack of nails or screws as evidence of this unique craftsmanship. Another interesting detail is a late 19th century repair with a square nut, indicating the chair's history of care and use. It was an early predecessor of the wing chair, with a design that foreshadowed the familiar upholstered chairs with wingbacks seen in later periods. The chair was previously used as a potty chair, evident by this circular opening in the seat that would have accommodated a chamber pot. The utilitarian nature of the chair made it even more versatile, as it could also be used as an invalid chair in bedrooms. Despite a later slip seat and some minor repairs, the chair remained in good condition. At auction, it is estimated to fetch,
at auction, we'd say $4,000 to $8,000.
No way.
Absolutely. Now, I don't want to ruin your day, but because this is such a rare chair, if it was American, we'd probably say $150,000 to $250,000.
Stunning diamond ring that had been in her family for generations. The large single stone ring intimidated the guest due to its size. The stone is an antique, likely cut sometime between 1920 and 1930. It was a spready stone, meaning it appeared larger than its carat weight because it was cut with a shallow depth. However, the cut was beautiful and created a unique play of light. The setting, however, was a bit younger than the stone. It is estimated to be from the 1940s or 1950s. Interestingly, the ring had originally been painted with 18-karat gold to cover the underlying platinum setting. The guest had this plating removed, revealing the more desirable platinum beneath. The diamond itself was graded M in color, which meant it had a slight yellowish tint. However, the clarity was exceptional, graded VVS2, indicating very few inclusions. This high clarity rating was a significant factor in the ring's value. Considering all these aspects, the insurance value on the ring is...
Today, I would say that an insurance value that would be more appropriate would probably be about $65,000.
No way.
Yeah.
The guest inherited 3 etchings by Edward Borein from her father-in-law, who owned a ranch in Santa Barbara in the 1930s and 1940s. Edward Borein was a self-taught artist born in 1872 near San Francisco, who dreamed of being a cowboy but became a prolific sketcher. He moved to New York in 1907 to advance his illustration career, but could never fit in on the East Coast and returned to California in 1921, where he lived until his death in 1945. During his time in Santa Barbara, he created most of his etchings, which are highly evocative Western scenes. The etchings were signed in pencil and feature scenes like a stagecoach racing down a hill and cowboys outside a cantina. Edward Borein's etchings were rare and valuable, especially since he was the only prominent Western artist to create etchings. The etchings were a wonderful representation of the West in the 1920s and 1930s, making them highly valuable and sought after. The appraiser recommended cleaning the etchings to increase their value, being estimated at...
So this one, in sort of perfect condition as I can see it in the frame, at auction, that's going to bring around $3,000 to $5,000.
Okay.
This one closest to you, the stagecoach, is a lesser subject, a smaller, not so Western, not as interesting. Be about $1,000 to $1,200 at auction, and with the staining is probably on order of about $2,000 to $2,500.
Guitar, a Martin D18, is the guest's husband's prized possession, purchased around 20 to 25 years ago from a friend who needed money. Initially bought for around $150, the husband later paid the friend a couple $100 more after realizing its true value through research. The guitar is a 37 model, identified by the stamp C.F. Martin on the peg head.
It's stamped C.F. Martin. They only did that on this model of guitar.
Made in Nazareth, Pennsylvania, the guitar features a mahogany neck, back, and sides, with some tuners recently replaced. Despite natural wear from use, the guitar is considered in great condition.
It has the original bridge, which is really very nice. Usually the bridge has been replaced by this point. This is ebony. This is ebony. The top is Adirondack spruce.
The guitar's value has been appraised at...
This guitar would be valued at $30,000 and $35,000.
Great. Made me a believer.
The guest found a painting in the attic of his late wife's grandfather's house. It was made by the renowned American artist Willard Leroy Metcalf. The appraiser provided background on Metcalf, highlighting him as one of the leading American Impressionist painters.
In 1898, he became part of a group called the Ten. And this was composed of 10 Impressionist painters, including William Merritt Chase, Frank Benson, Edmund Tarbell, and the other premier Impressionist painter, John Twachtman.
The artist was best known for his landscape paintings, which earned him significant acclaim. Around 1901, Metcalf's struggle with depression had an impact on his work, prompting shifts in his painting style. The piece featured pastel colors, visible canvas, and a feathery brush technique. The appraiser noted the title on the back of the stretcher that said, "Reflections of Spring." Regarding its condition, the painting had some yellowing varnish and paint losses that could be restored. The highly collectible item with its original frame surprised the guests with its worth.
A painting like this on the retail market would generally sell for $150,000.
Guest grandmother purchased this Smyrna wool rug in London in the early 1960s.
The receipt says it was made around 1700 in Asia Minor. It mentions Transylvania.
The rug was made circa 1650 to 1700 in Anatolia, Turkey. It features a saffron gold background with intricate blue, white, and red floral motifs.
Subsequently, out of his New York office. The rug is actually Turkish. It was made circa 1650, really to 1700. So the 1700 date given in the receipt and the catalog.
Additionally, the rug is constructed with a wool knotted pile on a wool foundation. Upon inspecting the center of the rug, we can see evidence of reweaving. Originally, the rug was twice its current length, but due to restoration work, it was halved. Despite these restorations, the piece remains in good condition and is estimated to be worth...
If this piece came up for auction today, it would be conservatively estimated in the $35,000 to $50,000 range.
Wow.
And that's mainly due to this big reweave that goes across the rug.
The guests brought an Asian guitar used for ceremonial teas found in their Detroit home when they moved there in 1964. It was identified as a late 19th century Chinese sanshin, a three-stringed instrument used in tea ceremonies and banquets. The instrument featured a snake skin on the soundboard. It also featured a rosewood veneer and a tropical hardwood neck. The fingerboard was inlaid with a vase, floral sprigs, and a fu or shu bat surmount. The tightening rods had stylized lotus leaves and pods. The guitar showed some signs of aging, including chips, losses, and humidity-related cracking. The guitar's history, functionality, and intricate details make it a unique and valuable instrument, being estimated at...
would be between $3,000 and $5,000. And an appropriate insurance value would probably be about $7,500.
Okay. Wow.
The appraiser remarked on the near-perfect condition of the item. It has remained well preserved for about 160 years. The piece featured intricate hand-carving and Mediterranean coral, showcasing the exceptional skill of Italian jewelers from the 1850s to 1870s period. The appraiser emphasized the rarity of finding such complete pieces with great detail. He estimated the value of the suite to be between...
A suite like this would be somewhere in the $7,000 to $8,000 range.
The guest acquired a sterling silver punch bowl while helping a friend clean out his attic. Purchasing it for $4,000, he realized it was a 20-year-old piece. Upon examination, the appraiser confirmed the punch bowl's origin as Philadelphia, dating back to 1904. It was crafted by the renowned Philadelphia retailer Caldwell, whose pieces are highly prized. The punch bowl featured an engraved yacht, the Giraldo, within a classic cartouche adorned with flowers. Accompanying the bowl was a ladle crafted by Dominic and Half in New York. Noteworthy details included a rope motif and sea monster faces on the circular foot. The appraiser highlighted the significance of the inscription, dedicating the bowl to Commodore Abraham L. English in 1904.
And we can see above his name in gold, and this is solid gold, his initials written there as well. And I think that's another element to this, which really adds a bit of value to it.
Considering the market demand for maritime memorabilia, the appraised value was
be sold for around $8,000 to $12,000.
Wow, okay.
This vintage painting is a masterpiece of nostalgia and charm. It was inherited by the guest through her stepmother's estate. This fantastic piece of art was created by Edward Simmons. Simmons was an American Impressionist painter remembered for his mural work.
In looking up his records, he's only had about 50 paintings that have come up over the last 20 years or so. So it makes him very rare.
The painting is dated 1883, and Simmons's signature is visible at the bottom of the piece. Depicted in the painting is a scenery of a church on a hillside with lush greenery and the sky.
Beautiful light in the sky. He's really trying to capture the essence and the atmosphere of that place. So it's a beautiful little painting.
It also boasts a gold-painted wooden frame. This painting is in very good condition and is also a testament to the skills of the painter. At auction, it is estimated to be worth...
Put in an auction, I put an estimate of $20,000 to $30,000 on it.
That's very nice.
Guest inherited a vest chain from her late husband, who likely acquired it from his father, who came from England in 1920. The chain is made of 14-karat gold, which is currently valued at around $1,200 an ounce. Despite its English origins, the chain is actually American, dating back to the late Victorian era. This chain features a locket with a crystal, which would typically hold a pressed 4-leaf clover for good luck. The rest of the chain is made up of fancy links and was used to hold a pocket watch.
This part was the watch fob. The fob is what hung outside of the vest of the man's suit, and that's what they showed off.
Appraiser notes that antique vest chains are highly desirable and difficult to find, especially with such beautiful links. The appraiser demonstrates that the chain can be converted into a necklace.
Ladies love men's antique vest chains to wear as a beautiful old gold necklace.
The retail value of the chain as a necklace is estimated to be at...
In retail value, it's between $4,000 and $5,000 for this necklace.
Are you serious?
The guest presented a couple of watercolor prints that he had purchased at a book sale for their frames, paying $5 apiece. The appraiser identified the prints as the work of Italian artist Alighiero Boetti, born in 1940. Boetti was initially associated with the Arte Povera movement in the 1960s, but distanced himself from the group in the 1970s. He spent significant time in Kabul, where he was introduced to traditional embroidery, aligning with his interest in patterns, recurring themes, and structures. This interest is evident in his use of repeated letters in the prints. Boetti explored the relationship between order and disorder, often creating configurations of letters or numbers that sometimes made sense and other times did not. These prints were pochoirs, a process allowing for unique hand coloring in each print, and are numbered 14 out of 40 from a larger set of 9. The appraiser estimated the auction value of the two prints to be between...
And for the two prints, I would put an auction estimate of $5,000 to $8,000 on these prints.
Wow.
If the guest had the entire set of 9 prints, it could sell for $30,000 to $40,000 at auction. Let's reveal these vintage boxing cards discovered for free in a rental unit about 20 years ago.
They were basically abandoned, then to your possession.
Yeah, right.
Well, what we have here are 4 beautiful examples of early 1900s.
There are 4 postcards featuring 3 different boxers. Top 2 feature Jack Johnson, the first African-American world champion in 1908. Next is Peter Jackson, the Australian champion. Lastly, we have Jim Jeffries, an American world champion. In 1910, Jeffries came out of retirement to fight Jack Johnson and was defeated in 15 rounds. Peter Jackson fought James Corbett in 1891, a match that was stopped in the 61st round with no winner. Postcards date from around 1908 to 1912. Jack Johnson postcard could sell
for $1,000 to $1,500. for that one alone.
Other Jack Johnson card is worth
$500 for that one.
Peter Jackson's card could fetch $500, and Jim Jeffries' card could fetch
$300 to $500.
The value of the whole collection is estimated to be between $2,300 and $3,000. A guest described how she bought an elegant silver urn at a thrift shop in Kansas City for $5.99. It was identified as an English silver urn resembling an upturned bell. The item was made in 1826 by Benjamin Preston during the George IV period. The appraiser explained the various hallmarks on the urn, indicating its authentication and origin. The duty mark showed that a tax was paid to the crown, while the date letter L signified it was made in 1826. Additionally, there was a leopard's head indicating it was crafted in London and a guarantee mark. The maker's mark BP stood for Benjamin Preston, who crafted the piece. The urn featured acanthus scroll handles, a lobed body, and a circular foot. The classic piece of English silver making was valued at
I would estimate it to sell for between $1,500 and $2,000.
That's really great.
This set of Kiowa archives whisper tales of its rich history. The guest inherited these pieces from her grandmother.
A gentleman, he and his brother owned an Indian store and did trading with the Indians and with the Anadarkans at that about 1890 to about 1910.
This collection includes a green boot that dates to the 1870s and numerous photographs. One of the photographs depicts Kiowa's Indian Territory, Oklahoma. Another photograph shows a Kiowa baby in a cradle, a photograph taken by W.L. Sawyer. The most notable photograph in the collection is the tin type, which was hand-painted and a little bit earlier than the others.
What's particularly special, we have Mr. and Mrs. Tohasan, Kiowa Indians. Rare to have the name of a Native American.
Given that this collection is a rare and valuable depiction of Kiowa's cultural history, it would sell for,
I think a retail value on that tin type might be about $5,500, $6,500.
Wow.
We are presented with a pocket watch dating back to the 1860s to 1870s, which the guest found in a filing cabinet his wife had bought. An 18-karat gold watch featuring an incredibly detailed dial,
which is one of the characteristics with this multicolored gold dial,
and a highly decorated case extending to the edges and bands. This particular item was signed by George Reynolds from Liverpool. The case of this watch is Swiss-made and also has engine turning on the reverse. Despite its age, the condition of this pocket watch is better than others we've seen. The mechanism of this pocket watch is a bit different from others, considering it was made in the 18th century.
it actually comes through the front. So the front hinges up in this way, and this is how you set the hands.
This beautiful, unique, open-faced pocket watch featuring unusual hands and a dust cover on the inside.
I think at auction a watch like this is going to sell for about $2,500.
Oh, that's nice.
Chinese paintings are known for their narrative style, featuring some figure represented in different poses. The guest brought in a 17th century Korean court screen originally belonging to her husband's uncle. This painting features the figure of Ji Wangmu from Chinese mythology.
She was sort of the leader of the immortals, which is this heavenly band of deities in Chinese mythology.
Looking closely, you can see gold decorations on her robe, which is beautifully painted with characteristic designs. Although this item is lifting from the paper and the wooden background is already showing signs of wear, even pigments are starting to lift from the silk surface. Regardless, the quality is superb. This is a banquet scene, a rare depiction that suggests anyone who had it must have been quite wealthy back in the day. At auction, this beautiful banquet scene with colorful paintings and an attached story will be worth...
The value of this has to be in the $30,000 to $50,000 range, as it is now.
Oh my goodness.
The guest presented a cabinet from her father's collection of antique American furniture. The item, identified as a mid-18th century spice chest, hailed from Philadelphia between 1725 and 1760. This chest served to safeguard valuable spices imported through Philadelphia's port. The chest featured a molded top, arched paneled doors marked out with a compass, and carved inset panels. Although the piece had its original finish, a water stain had dissolved some of it. At its base, the chest boasted cove molding and authentic William and Mary ball feet. The appraiser noted a loose door requiring minor repair. Taking into account its condition, the appraised value amounted to
about 40 to 60,000.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh,
40 to
yeah.
60.
That's quite nice.
So you're happy?
I'm very happy.
Tibetan tankas are more than mere artworks. They're windows into ancient spirituality and cultural heritage. A guest brought in what they believed to be a Tibetan tanka, possibly from a monastery, admitting limited knowledge about it. Upon examination, the appraiser confirmed it as a tanka, a type of scroll painting often adorned with silk covers. This particular one depicted the goddess of mercy, whose multiple heads symbolized heightened compassion. The appraiser pointed out the figures of wrathful divinities at the bottom, explaining their representation of ego-dispelling rather than violence or fear. They also highlighted the parasol as a symbol of nobility and compassion. The tanka's construction involved geometric forms beneath the paint, with the eyes added last to consecrate the image. Identified as originating from eastern Tibet and estimated to date back to around 1750, the tanka showed characteristic pink clouds indicative of its era. In recognition of the Tibetan tanka's condition, the appraiser said,
And it's worth about $3,000. Wow. This one here.
Prendergast's color monotone not only captures Boston's vibrancy with pristine but also unique artistry. The guests shared that a painting had been in their family since they were born, displayed on their wall every day of their life. The guest's family originally hails from New Jersey, and their mother, while not a collector, was an art enthusiast. The appraiser had to remove it from its frame for a closer examination. The painting turned out to be a monotype by Maurice Prendergast, identifiable by his initials MBP. A monotype is a unique print created by applying colors to a copper plate and printing it through an intaglio press, typically producing one print. Prendergast, a Boston artist, studied locally in the 1860s through 1880s, learned printmaking in Paris in the 1890s, and then created watercolors and monotypes of Boston scenes upon his return. This particular piece depicts a Boston storefront at night, likely dating to around 1895. Despite being glued to the mat, which slightly affects its condition and value, the piece is otherwise in very good condition with near pristine colors. While examining the piece, the appraiser said,
I would estimate it at $60,000 to $90,000.
Antique pieces offer a glimpse into history, combining craftsmanship and timeless beauty. A guest shared that their great-aunt, a longtime schoolteacher, used to collect items from around the world which she displayed in her apartment. The guest admired these collectibles and was given one by their great-aunt, which they cherish. The appraiser confirmed it is an Austrian bronze piece made in Vienna by Franz Bergmann, identifiable by a distinctive B within a stylized vase mark. This piece, described as the Cadillac of Austrian cold-painted bronzes, is notably large and functions as a lamp. When it is plugged in, it emits a glowing light. Bergman specialized in exotic themes, often creating smaller scenes like rug sellers under palm trees or little oases. In this case, he went all out, crafting an enormous mosque. It was designed from the beginning to be a lamp, often referred to as a boudoir lamp due to its intimate glow. While estimating the worth of the piece, the appraiser said,
As an auction estimate, I would say $15,000 to $20,000. So,
really?
It's a good thing.
Our guest found the painting next to a dumpster in an alley and felt drawn to it, deciding to rescue it. The painting is by the Italian artist Giuseppe Palizzi, born in 1812 and died in Paris in 1888. Despite some scratches and signs of neglect, our guest was attracted to the subject matter of the painting. This painting depicts a charming scene showcasing Palizzi's skill and attention to detail. The appraiser noted that the scratches and wear on the painting likely occurred due to its rough treatment. Despite its condition, the painting retains its beauty and historical value. The appraiser estimates that the painting could easily fetch at
Fairly safely, it should fetch around about $3,000 to $5,000 or so.
Nice.
This find illustrates the unpredictable nature of discovering valuable art in unexpected places, adding to the painting's allure and story. Our guest husband purchased the guitar, a 1964 ES-330, in June of 1964 and owned it until his passing in 1989. The guitar is a thin-body ES-330 known for its lightweight and easy playability.
Being this thin, hollow body style, it's one that was very popular by...
Despite its popularity, the guitar is not suitable for playing loudly due to feedback issues at higher volumes. This model was introduced in 1959, and in 1962, a chrome pick cover was added, which is present on this guitar. The serial number confirms the guitar's 1964 production year, and all components are original and well maintained, with some minor wear on the neck from playing. A guitar like this would retail for a value of...
Retail around $4,900. So just a little under $5,000. Right. So...
Our guest owns a collection of Cormac McCarthy's Western works, including the Border Trilogy, all signed to the guest by McCarthy himself. McCarthy and the guest were friends in Knoxville, Tennessee, and reconnected in El Paso, Texas.
And he moved out west in the late 70s, and I moved out west, coincidentally, in the early 80s.
McCarthy, known for not signing books, willingly signed all of these to the guest, as he is loyal to all his friends. Each book is a first edition with a signature similar to the one shown on El Paso, and...
Every one of these is a first edition, which is great. They're all signed similar to the one we showed.
Blood Meridian is the most valuable in the collection, estimated at around $7,500. The trilogy books are valued at around $2,500 each, and No Country for Old Men, being more recent and common, is valued at around $1,000. The entire collection is conservatively estimated to be worth...
You have a collection here, I'd even say $10,000 to $15,000.
Wow, okay.
Our guest has a silver spoon that belongs to her mother, who doesn't remember where she acquired it, possibly from an antique store or a show. Initially thought to be a sauce spoon, the guest estimated its age to be from the late 1800s. The appraiser reveals that the spoon is actually about 600 years old.
It dates from the 1380s, probably, or the 1390s. That was when Richard II was on the throne in England.
This spoon is English and is very rare, known as a diamond point spoon with a gilded diamond point. Despite its age and rarity, the spoon has been restored, with the bowl being thin and cracked on both sides, filled with silver solder. A similar spoon sold in London for a large sum, but in better condition. At auction, our guest spoon can easily fetch at a value of
$10,000 and $20,000.
Wow.
The one in London made $40,000.
Wow.
Our guest received original sketches by Edith Head as a birthday present from their sister, who got them from a friend giving them away. The sketches are glamorous designs for movie stars of the 1950s, including Mary Martin, Barbara Stanwyck, and Betty Hutton, all signed by Edith Head. Edith Head was a premier couturier for the studio during that period.
They are glamorous sketches for varying movie stars of the 1950s.
Each sketch has details such as the signature of the approval of the director and the overall cost of the garment, ranging from $329 to $611 in 1949. Our guest thought the sketches might be worth $150 to $200 each, but learns from the appraiser that they are valued at
worth $1,100 to $1,200 a piece.
What?
That's correct.
Really?
The vase had belonged to the guest's grandfather, a history buff with a particular interest in the American West. This Rookwood pottery vase is a 1901 piece depicting Big Bow, a Kiowa Indian chief. The artist was Grace Young, known for her Native American portrait vases for Rookwood. At the bottom, you can see the Rookwood mark up at the top and the mark with a 1 for 1901. There is Big Bow, Kiowa, and then we have the artist's signature inscription there. Interestingly, the vase was marked with an X on the bottom, signifying it was a second. a piece that didn't meet Rookwood's quality standards for their main showroom, likely due to a minor manufacturing flaw. While the guest mentioned a previous appraisal of $700, the value currently is much higher at...
The conservative auction estimate would be between $6,000 and $9,000.
Oh, my goodness. $6,000 to $9,000. Oh.
These portraits brought in today by the guest hold significant meaning to her. The history behind the portraits is that they are of the guest's great-great-great-grandparents. Done by a popular American portraitist named Zedekiah Belknap of the late 1700s and early 1800s, these portraits have characteristics of his work. One such characteristic is that the paintings are done on poplar panels. Done in 1813, this portrait commemorates the wedding ceremony of the subjects.
One of them is they were done on their wedding day, which makes them very young and very cheerful.
Typical characteristics of 19th century dress can also be seen on the subjects painted.
He has the blue jacket, but that dash of red going around it with the wonderful bow on his shirt.
At auction today, this wonderful 19th century portrait would be worth...
I would say that they have a value of between $8,000 and $12,000 for the pair.
Our guest received the painting as a gift from a prominent doctor and his wife 30 years ago. They did not inquire about the painting's origin at the time. The painting is by the 19th century French artist Joseph Bernard and is a fine example of the late 19th century style.
That was prompted by the discoveries in Pompeii and Herculaneum.
This painting reflects the Victorian mindset more than it does the classical Greeks and Romans, with the Victorians projecting their own thoughts and styles onto the ancient period. The painting features a young woman adorned in flowers and antique revival jewelry, with a snake adding to the romanticized portrayal of the ancient world. Our guest finds the painting captivating, noting that the figure's skin seems warm to look at. The appraiser estimates the painting's value to be at...
I would be estimating at between $10,000 and $15,000.
It stays on the wall.
Showcased on the show is a rug that embodies the secrets of ancient weaving. The piece was purchased by this guest from a female friend.
So I made her an offer of $1,000 for about 18 Oriental rugs.
And it was made by the Yomut tribe, featuring a form called osmalic. It is a camel trapping, often utilized for ceremonial purposes. This piece was woven in the late 19th century.
Some of the qualities that make it an osmalic, the main is the fact that it's coming to a point at the top, and the fact that it has these very decorative tassels at the bottom. And the colors in the tassels actually represent almost every color that is in the piece itself.
The rug boasts decorative tassels at the bottom, and another intriguing feature is the red dye, which was rare at the time this piece was made. Additionally, aside from the red color, there is a range of other colors on the item, which really gives it a distinctive look. At auction, given the quality and rich history of this rug, it would be valued at...
This piece has a value of $5,000.
I think that's wonderful. I just love what you're telling me.
He acquired it at a watch show in Cleveland during the late 70s. The engraved feathers, known as the Prince of Wales feathers, the emblem of the Prince of Wales. Turning the watch over reveals an inscription. Albert Edward, Prince of Wales, gifted it to an American sea captain during their 1860 U.S. tour. This watch transforms from covered to open-faced by revolving inside the case. This watch has a multicolor monogram and reveals a repeater function when opened. At the top near noon is a calendar dial displaying every month of the year for 4 years. The last watch, near noon, there's a winding indicator, and flipping the watch over shows the cutaway back of the case. It's an Elgin Model 8, an 18-size watch that's been skeletonized. In awe of its historic significance and impeccable craftsmanship, the appraiser valued the first watch.
I would say this is a watch worth in excess of $15,000.
And valued the last watch.
$1,500. But with this kind of work on it, could again be worth twice that.
I was very surprised.
Her father, a collector of antique toys and construction equipment, had acquired it at a show 20 to 25 years ago. The guest instantly fell in love with the piece and jokingly admitted to stealing it from her father's collection. The model is a rare and exceptional item. It was most likely a salesman's sample meticulously crafted to showcase the intricate workings of a real road grader to potential customers. The details are incredible. The rotating wheels made of cast aluminum, brass parts, and even a tiny wooden plank bed. Every component, from the blade to the ratcheting axle, moved flawlessly, demonstrating the functionality of the machine. The value of such a unique piece was difficult to determine. While similar salesmen's samples have appeared in auctions, this particular model's exceptional quality set it apart. Its value at auction is...
At such a sale, I could see a piece like this bringing somewhere, between $5,000 and $6,000.
However, at a recent auction, the price increased to $6,500.
And then maybe more. It's just because it is truly extraordinary. I mean, I've just never seen such an amazing piece of equipment.